This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But
Just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants. And
my wife will tell you she wants to burn mine.
People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They
I
watch
told
it.
you, yeah.
play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy. But
You got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love.
Hey,
well,
you're
you
doing
can
that
come with.
game.
That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so two things are happening. That one, people are watching your show,
Yes,
listening.
yes.
Right? That
Yep.
caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
We've got the man himself joining us. I hope you understand. We had Bison Captain Luke Wirtz in here. He went a little long. So if you want to get mad at anybody, you can get mad at him, okay?
No comments.
Uh,
I do think your listeners need to know, like, we are making progress. You are making progress. So we know you're not the toughest cat in the world, but you're getting tougher because most years you would have had a big parka and a stocking hat and gloves on with it cold out. Like, now you've graduated to just a hoodie. So like we're making Dom Izzo toughness strides.
Hey, I've been around you for 15 years here. I'm rubbing off a little bit, all right?
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, was your skin crawling Thursday night when your team scored 110 points in regulation? How do you feel
Yeah,
about
it was
that?
crawling, but it wasn't crawling because we scored 110. It was crawling because we
You
gave
gave
up
it 94.
96. Yeah. Again, here's the context, right? A better version of me is I went into that locker room Thursday night and we celebrated.
I bet,
right?
yeah.
We got a road victory. We got a victory. Our process led to that, and we celebrated it. I told them you got the next 14 hours or so to enjoy it. But when we got to Denver and we had a film session at the hotel there, we addressed some things on the other side of the basketball.
But you mentioned it. We talked about it. You lose 2 games at home. I know the team's got to be grumpy. I know you weren't feeling great. You go down there and have that kind of performance. That had to be an awfully nice plane ride to Denver.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, I know Oral Roberts' record isn't maybe what we haven't expected it to be from the last couple of years. But you're still going to Tulsa. You're going to go play Oral Roberts. You're going to play Isaac McBride. And then the offensive numbers are just ridiculous, right? 15 to 30, 27 from 3, 27 to 31 from the line, 22 assists. I mean, just a absolutely terrific performance offensively, but like it took almost this perfect offensive performance for us to get the victory.
Yeah.
And that's where even in the locker room afterwards, you could tell the guys are like, oh boy, what's coach going to be like, and that's where I've had different moments, Dom, where I've gone in there and maybe haven't handled it as well, or I've matured a little bit, myself. And but I'm very pleased with that, and I still think that's the separation for us. Where can we be the version we were defensively against Denver, and the offensive version we were against Oral Roberts, to a little bit in retrospect of the Western Michigans, the Bakersfield right before break.
To have the kind of performance Noah Federson had the last 2 games, Dave, combined for 34 points. He seems more aggressive. I thought that when the St. Thomas game, when we saw him before I went to Frisco, that he was getting more activity towards the rim. Is that something conscious he did? Is that a conversation you guys had? Because he's been more aggressive in my mind offensively over the last 4 games.
Well, I think anytime we speak to a player, they get the credit, right? Because they actually have to go and apply the context that they've been learning and listening to, and suggestions, right? And I love Noah. Noah is all the things. He's a wonderful young man. He's got great size. He's got great strength and athleticism. And Noah's a really nice kid. And sometimes in the past, he's been nice on the floor, and you can't have that same mentality. And he's responded, I think the biggest thing is his work and his efforts and practice. When the lights aren't on, he's gaining confidence from that, Dom. And we've challenged him to be better on the glass defensively, and I think he's doing a really good job of those things. And he even had a mindset. He had 22, I believe, probably his career high against Oral Roberts. But again, who we were defensively, that is your five man, is your anchor. That can't be your identity to give up, 96 points. So he took that to heart, and I thought he was, really locked in and engaged at Denver. And then right at the end of the Denver game, he hit a three, and he took the shot, let it go, and like from the moment he even caught the basketball, Dominic, I can see you're, nodding. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Like he knew it was going in. There was a great confidence in that shot, and that's terrific from my perspective to see, because I think that's where Noah's earned that confidence by the work that he's put in, and it's great to see. Really encouraging for him, and obviously for us as well.
Yeah, we just showed the play, Dave, and he was clapping after making it. Some that not typical emotion either after he made the shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where, I know Jeff, and appreciate the article wrote about Luke Kasubke and his impact. And, I've asked Luke to help me help Noah, whatever that word is, emotion, urgency, passion, fire. Sometimes he's just, it almost, he's getting all these things done, and it looks like he's just, not maximizing maybe effort, but in reality, he is a little bit. And so now you take what he's been doing, and you add a little bit of that swag, you add a little bit of that urgency or emotion that he's playing with. Like, I think that's the next step that he can continue to make those strides, and you're starting to see it more and more frequently.
So then you have the defensive performance you wanted. You held Denver to 50 on Saturday. They went a stretch where 8 minutes they didn't score, and you get a road sweep. That you can't bank on that, because you don't want to lose any at home, but you're right back where you started before league played. Does it feel like it's a clean slate now for this week?
No, you still got too low and then too, high and all those things. We gotta get off the roller coaster,
Yeah.
and we've got to maintain an edge and a mentality. And I do think there was some circumstances going on, at home that hopefully we've identified. And listen, I think our league is playing a really good brand of basketball, but I still firmly believe I would imagine a lot of coaches are going to tell you there's really one main team they're focused on, and that's their own team. And that's for us. I think we can do some special things, but we can also beat ourselves if we're not fully in tune and locked in. And I think we got away from some of those things at home against St. Thomas and Omaha. And again, no offense, those two teams played great against us. They're playing great basketball right now. But I love our team, and especially when we understand who we are and the things that we need to be teed up to and cued into, every single moment, practice games and those things. And we got away from some of those things at home. I think we're starting to trend back in that. But we need to continue to trend upwards, not up and down. So we continue to round into that best version of ourselves.
You changed up the starting lineup for that game at Denver, as Kasubke started and Jakari White didn't. Is that a one-game deal, or is that something you may go forward with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's just going to be a one-game deal. But I had some conversations, like when you're not playing defense or whatever. I'm not going to get down on my hand. I tried to beg, right? Or you show this, you show that, and there's a great clip from Bob Knight so many years ago. I don't play well. Butt goes to seat. Seat tells butt. Butt tells brain, I need to play better. Brain tells me I want to, and I don't. I'm off on the quotes, but I go, listen. You can run, you can beg, you can do all these things, but at the end of the day, these are 18 to 23-year-old kids that want to play. And if we're not playing the right way, if you're not playing the right way, then you're just going to come sit next to me. And had some conversations, with just some other coaches to try to help myself, to help them. And right, I mean, it just needed to happen for that moment. Is it something going forward? I don't know. I know Jakari, no matter what, is going to be a huge, big part of what we're doing. He has been, he will continue to be. But if you're not going to guard, if you're not going to do the right things, then you're just not going to play as much as you want, or maybe even in a bigger picture as we need you to.
Email comes in to ask Dave. Dave, can you tell us, is the buzz around Jackson Money's NBA potential, is it real as it sounds? Great. Social media is such a hard minefield. What can you tell us from what you've encountered on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's real. You have that size, you have that skill set, you see the efficiency numbers. These NBA scouts, agents, all that, they have a job to do, and they're going to vet it. I'm right. This isn't newsflash, Jackson Money's not the only young man in college basketball that they're vetting right now. But because of his size, right, because of his skill set and because of his numbers and efficiency, I mean, what do they say? There's palpable buzz. Is that right? Is that a
That's the
term that I
term.
can
That's the
use?
term. Yeah.
Where it goes, I don't know. I think what I'm so pleased and so proud of Jackson is he knows he's playing well, but he knows the reason why he's playing well, and that's because his mindset is present. It's not about all those things in the future. He's got a great maturity to him. His parents are rock solid. Like there's a reason why it's going well, right? And you lose focus and you start chasing those things. You chase a box score. That's when things go just south really, really quick.
Let's break. We come back. We'll visit with Dave about the upcoming weeks. Kansas City tomorrow, then a road trip to Vermilion to take on South Dakota. Much more with Dave Richman joining us here on Hot Mic on this Wednesday. We're back right after this. Back with Bison men's basketball coach Dave Richman, NDSU, in Kansas City coming up tomorrow night. You can see it live right here on WDAY Extra, 7 o'clock, as the Roos were the preseason pick to win the Summit League. We all closed our eyes and threw a blindfolded a dart at the dartboard, right? That's how you did your poll, I'm assuming, correct?
I mean, to an extent, yeah. Now, listen, I'm a huge fan of Marvin Menzies,
Yes.
and their roster was the most intact, coming back,
Yep.
and you got a guy like Brown and some things like that. They were 100% well deserved to be preseason pick. But like you and I were just talking off air, I think the unknowns at the major level from year to year, teams and coaches and fans are going to be finding a lot about their team early in the season. Every year.
Is it too early to look at what everybody else? I know you're worried about Kansas City. Are you keeping an eye on what the rest of the league? You've played 4 games. You're going to see the other 3. Have you done that yet to see what everybody else has been doing so far?
Oh, clearly. I mean, you're watching scores and you're tracking this and you're tracking that. And I was actually with Todd Phelps, on Monday, just catching up because we, don't see each other. And he asked me kind of a very similar question. I don't have a great answer yet. I said, give me a couple more weeks to see everybody and to know those things. I'm not going to hide behind it. I really like our group, fun group to be around. I think we've got a chance to do some special things, but we've also proven that if we get off track just a little bit and away from some of the things that we can control, we're very, very vulnerable. So we've got to stay hungry, stay humble.
You mentioned Jamar Brown, Kansas City. This is a team that, is well coached. They play tough. It's a physical game. There's a certain style of basketball, Dave, that Kansas City brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And again, no offense to anybody else's style. It's a style that I really appreciate. I think it is a very stable, solid, consistent, tough, to your point, tough physical winning brand of basketball. Yeah. I think Brown and Foss can really go and can really shoot it, but they also do the things as a program. They're well coached to the things that travel, the things that are consistent, where they defend, they value the basketball, they finish possessions. They're not doing a million different things defensively. They're very solid, and you have to beat Kansas City. And I always think that's a compliment, where here's who we are, right? Vince Lombardi, sweep left, sweep right. Now you go stop it. The Kansas City's got a little bit of that. Now they run a bunch of things and they've got very talented pieces and parts and all those things, make no mistake. But at the very end of the day, you can see that their brand, their style of play is here's what it is, right? And we're going to be good at us.
Is that easier to prepare for, because the players may change, but how they play, their style is the same?
Yeah, I mean it's yes and no. Where, I mean, you hear me talk about it all the time, where our focus is Bison, right? And certainly our assistants do a great job of prepping, but it's on point for that. And so, in a sense, yeah, maybe it's a touch easier from a coach's perspective, but like from a player's perspective, like you have to be queued up and on point to your discipline, to your cues, to your principles, even more so. And sometimes when you do a million different things defensively, that works for a moment, right?
Yeah.
But how consistent is that? That's where I mean, for 40 minutes, here comes Kansas City. And you better be ready for their guts, their their cores, and because they're not going to change much. And I always think that is a huge compliment.
This is this week for you is almost like an NBA schedule. You got a home game, and then you got to go play on the road on Saturday. I know you like consistency, and you don't do the schedule, but how do you handle this week? It's different where you're not playing 2 on the road or 2 at home.
Yeah, it was very nice of you and your family to donate the charter for us to fly from Fargo to Vermilion. Gosh, really appreciate that. I think your gift is in the mail for that. It is, yeah, it is what it is, right? Like I'm done doing this, right? And I mean this, like I'm done pointing fingers, right? Like my life has gotten a lot better when I turn around and blame myself. And so, I mean, it is what it is. The League put out a schedule. The NCAA opened up NIL. Like the NCAA has a transfer portal. Okay. I know Marvin Menzies, Eric Peterson, right? They have the same exact parameters. The court is going to be 94 feet long. The hoop is going to, like, let's go figure it out, gentlemen. Like, what can we own? What excuses can we eliminate?
Does that mean I can't ask you about the next question because it had to do with NIL? Do you want to do that or no?
Oh, come on. Like you're going to ask this anyways.
Well, okay. So we talked about this, and I know I asked you in a press conference a few weeks ago when the ruling came out on the JUCO stuff, because now there is a potential for Jeremiah Burke and Jakari White, if they want to have another year of eligibility. Have those conversations happened yet? Is that something you're saving for March when the season is over?
So we have addressed it with both of those young men about, hey, I just think it's so important to be transparent about everything from a standpoint of, yes, this is out there. I know you're hearing about it. What questions do you have? Don't read it on social media, especially a guy like Coach Strage. I mean, he's a junior college guy.
Yep.
Like, let us help you. Now, when it comes to the specifics of it, no, and again, I said this to the group, like I had a conversation 6 weeks ago with Jackson Money when these things were just starting to happen. I said, how do we want to handle this? And he said, Coach, just prior experiences and everything, I'm really having a blast with this group. I want to win. I want to be, present, and all that stuff will take care of himself. I'm like, perfect, right? It makes sense. And so, again, with Jeremiah, with Jakari, we addressed it, okay? And now, if you are present, if you work every day, if you stay humble, if you do all those things, all that stuff will take care of itself. And whether that's at North Dakota State or something else, absolutely. Like, right? I'm not naive. That's all part of what everybody's thinking, right? And so I might as well have these conversations with them. But the best thing for them, and ultimately the best thing for us, is to get better. And if they and we do those things, everything else is gonna work out in a positive manner.
Football's thrown around the idea of a 10-day portal window. Basketball will probably want to follow it up on it. From your history of this, are normally the decisions made in the first couple? Like, it seems 30 days seems way too long. That's my opinion. Like, if it was
I
15
I actually called and talked to Tim this morning, Paul, a second. He was telling me about, getting back from their conventions and some of that, and the percentages that go in within the first 2 days compared to it too. So, yeah, I mean, Tim and I are the same. Like, okay, we're going to work, and you give us the parameters, but I really feel like, right, I mean, coaches get paid well and all those things, so I know there's no sympathy, but like the thing I struggle with in football, and I don't have the answer, so I can't really complain, but the good teams are getting penalized because they're preparing for bowl games while all these portal things are going on. So, are there different windows and times and all those? I probably shouldn't speak this up, but you can say a portal window, right? But if Johnny or Billy or Susie wants to leave outside of that portal window, right, they're just going to grab a lawyer and go sue somebody anyways. So, did I say that? Can I say
you did
that?
Say, you did say it, so it's out
I
there.
did say it. So I don't know. I don't know where the guardrails are, Dom. I don't.
The only thing I'll say with basketball, the timing is better than football. Like
absolutely. That's what I mean.
The season's done for the most part.
And the timing is better from the end of season perspective, and we don't have two.
Correct.
Tim's not naive, and you guys aren't naive. Like, things are, I don't even know what their portal looks like now, but it could look very different after a spring ball.
Yep.
Right? I don't know.
Yep.
And I'm not talking Tim, I'm just talking football in general.
We can solve all the issues here. I think you give us a couple hours, we can figure it all together, right? Don't you think?
Well, I'm sure we've got a lot of people dumber today listening to me and you.
Appreciate the time as always. I'll see you tomorrow night at the Shack. All right.
Stay warm.
There he
See you,
goes. NDSU men's basketball head coach David Richman joins us each and every Wednesday. Bison in Kansas City coming up tomorrow night. You'll see it live here on WDAY Extra.